Summertime, outside, kids running around, inside the house, outside the house, adults visiting, the smell of barbecue in the air, and the oldies on the radio, and dancing. That's right, dancing. That's what this song means to me. It seems like yesterday. It really does. But man, does time really fly. And I guess that's what it does when you let the music take your mind. Hello, everybody. My name is Bishop Friesch, and I want to welcome you to My Life Through Music. This next song that represents this particular time of my life, as well as these memories, is Cruisin' by Smokey Robinson. And it was released in 1979. This song is such a cool song. I mean, it's smooth, it's romantic, it's adventurous, it's direct. I mean, it's everything you want when you're with the person you love. I mean, right? Isn't it all those things? And to me, what makes this song all those things that I just mentioned and just listed, is the voice of Smokey Robinson. I mean, what makes this song smooth? Smokey Robinson's voice. What makes this song romantic? Smokey Robinson's voice. What makes this song an adventure? Smokey Robinson's voice. And what makes this song direct? Smokey Robinson's voice. In the way that he delivers these lyrics, man. I mean, to me, this song will never, ever lose its greatness or its spirit. And you know how, like, some songs, and you know, it's just the way it is. Some songs, after you listen to them for many years or a lot of times, they just they lose their luster a little bit. They lose that spark, sadly, and that's just the way it is. But this song, to me at least, will never do that. It will never do that. And possibly that could be because of the memories that it's attached to. That could be a big reason, but who knows? But it's in my Life Through Music playlist for two reasons. The first reason is that it reminds me of my youth, part of my youth, when the days just seemed to go on forever. They lasted forever. I mean, do you remember when you were a kid, how just the day just seemed to go on and on and you had so much time to do whatever you wanted, unlike now? But the days seemed like a lifetime. And for me at that age, maybe it was because, you know, as kids, we were so occupied. We always had stuff to do. If we didn't have something to do, we'd make up something. But we always seemed to just be busy, you know? And there was never a lull in any of the action, at least for us. And, you know, we went from one thing to the next. There was always something to do. You know, we were never really bored. And by this time, during this time, every summer, at least once, and sometimes twice, my aunt and uncle, they would have this big cookout at their house. And everybody came. And we're talking about my uncle and my aunt. My uncle would have been my mom's brother, one of my mom's brothers, and his wife. And my aunt and uncle, they would throw these big parties, these cookouts, at least once a summer, sometimes twice. And everybody would go and everyone would show up. And so we'd have my family, we'd have my aunt's, her side of the family with all her sisters and their husbands and their kids. And it would just be an awesome time. It would just be an awesome time. And they always had the radio on, and it was tuned to Cool FM, 94.5. And right now it plays the 80s. It plays 80s music, which is cool. I love it. But back then it played the oldies. It played oldies. And as I remember, there was just the oldies, like the 60s and the 50s and 70s and stuff like that. My parents' music, and they all were part of that generation, so that's why they listened to it. And we'd go there early, and we'd stay there all day, and we would eat, and we'd play as kids, and the parents would just visit, and we'd eat some more, and we would just make a day of it, man. It was so awesome. And I remember my uncle, he seemed like he would just be at the barbecue the whole time. The whole time we were there, he seemed to be like posted up in front of the barbecue, you know? And I talked to him for a few minutes, and then I would go do something else, and then I would just come back, and he'd be in the same place, you know, slapping on barbecue sauce and turning the chicken over and stuff like that. But he was so cool, man. He was one of those guys. He's one of those guys where, I mean, he didn't say much. He doesn't say much, but when he does say something, it's like really hilarious or really profound. And you're like, dang, man, dang, that's awesome. And they have two sons that are older than my brother and I. And so they were kind of like big brothers to us. You know, they were a little bit ahead of the game, a little bit more experience, and they were always in the garage. Every single time we went over there, they were never in the house. They were never in their rooms. They were always in the garage. And they were always working on a car, working on a motorcycle, or working on an ATC. Back then, they were three-wheelers. I don't think the four-wheelers, the ATVs had come out yet. But they always had, you know, dirt bikes and ATCs and stuff like that. They were always doing something, working on those. And, you know, they might even be pulling an engine out of a car one time, or maybe working on the brakes. But they always had like grease on their hands and on their arms. They were always working on these cars, you know. And every time we'd go visit them, they'd have a different car, you know. And it would always be a hot rod. And I'm going to talk about one of those hot rods a little bit later on. But I'll never forget the time I was sitting at a table in the backyard at one of these cookouts. And I was sitting in one of those old lawn chairs. You know, do you remember those old lawn chairs that had like aluminum frame and they had that webbing, that nylon webbing? And I was sitting at a table. I even remember the webbing, the color of the webbing was like a blue, yellow, and white. I don't know why I remember that. But I remember I was sitting in this chair and I was at a table and had a big plate of food in front of me. And through the noise and through the voices and the visiting and all that was going on in the backyard, through all that, I heard this voice coming from the radio. And it's Smokey Robinson singing Cruisin'. And at this time, I honestly, I didn't know it was Smokey Robinson. I just knew this. I didn't recognize the song, but I heard the song. And I was like, whoa. This is really cool. And I pretended to like be engaged, you know, with everybody in the table, but I wasn't. I was listening to the song, and it was, dare I say, life-changing, man. It was really cool because it's a different song, and it's his voice, and he's talking about all these things about cruising, and cruising can mean so many different things if you listen to this song. You know, and I also remember two other songs from these barbecues, and one of those songs was "I'm Your Puppet" by James and Bobby Purify or Purify. I don't know how to pronounce the last name, and if I messed it up, I apologize. But it was released in 1966, and the reason why I remember hearing this song was later on that night, after we were finished with the cookout, we were driving home, and it was probably about 35 minutes from their house to our house back then. They lived in South Phoenix, and we lived what I guess you would consider North Phoenix at the time. And so we were driving back, and my brother and I were in the back seat of our car, and we were kind of like making a parody of the song, and instead of saying "I'm your puppet," we were saying "I'm your puppy." You know, just little kids, you know, having fun, and it drove my parents crazy because my mom kept, you know, correcting us. No, it's "I'm your puppet," and she was trying to explain, you know, the concept, and you know, we didn't get it. We just thought it was funny, and the second song that I remember was hearing at these cookouts was "Love on a Two-Way Street," believe it or not, by the Moments. And that was released in 1970. And I remember that song because my aunt was trying to explain to me the cleverness of the lyrics, you know, finding love on a two-way street, but then losing it on a lonely highway. And I didn't get it, obviously. But, you know, it's, now that I think about it, it's really an awesome concept. And if you listen to this guy sing, this guy can, oh my gosh, he's got a beautiful voice. You got to check it out. You got to check it out. This guy can sing. Oh, man. And so back to Cruisin'. The second reason why this song is so meaningful to me, in the beginning, I mentioned dancing. So fast forward to, I guess I was about 18, 19, probably 19. And I met a girl at a party, one of those through a friend of a friend of a friend, and we got introduced, and we hit it off. We hit it off really well, and we started seeing each other. And through the course of us seeing each other, she invited me over to her house one night, and nobody was home, and she made a really nice dinner. She made a really nice dinner for us, and after dinner, she's like, "Hey, help me make a fire." And so we made a fire in the fireplace, and after we made this fire, she puts on, of all songs, what does she put on? This song, "Cruisin'" by Smokey Robinson, and we started to dance by the fire. And after the song was over, she puts it on again. And, you know, we danced again and again, and she kept, you know, putting it on, the song on again and again and again. And, you know, when, you know, someone, you know that feeling when somebody, you know, really wants to dance with you, it's a really incredible feeling, you know. It's almost like, you know, it's raw, it's pure, you know. And as we danced, I remember over and over, we were dancing to this song, and we primarily were facing, you know, one way, and the fire was on this side. And our clothes were getting really warm, really hot, you know, on this side. And, you know, I brought it up to her, and she was like, you know, I don't care. I don't care. I just want to stay here, and I want to just listen to this song, and I want to sway back and forth with you. And I was like, yeah, no problem. And so we danced and danced and danced to that song over and over again, right by the fire. And it was awesome. It was awesome. And later on, a couple weeks later, she kicks me to the curb. And, you know, it was my fault. I deserve it. And I think the wording she used was, "I'm tired of your bull." And yeah. But she was going places. She was a really smart young lady with a future. And she was determined, and she was ambitious, had a lot on the ball, gorgeous, beautiful, and a lot of fun. And even though, you know, we didn't hang out too awfully long, I'll never forget dancing next to the fire to "Cruisin'" by Smokey Robinson. So thank you, Smokey. That was awesome. And those are the reasons why this song is where it's at in my Life Through Music playlist. I'll put the link to that song as well as the other songs that I mentioned, and just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about, please listen to them. They're awesome. They're awesome. And I just, as always, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes to be with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.